The Rock Whisperer. Do you hear the earth talking to you?
Water Cycle, Unit 6-1. So the water cycle is something you've covered way back in elementary school and have covered it multiple different times. So here's a list of vocab words, the majority of them that we're going to go over in the picture that we will look at in 1 second. Storage is one that might be new, and also zone of aeration, zone of saturation, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in the classroom. So here's a picture, an illustration of the water cycle. So let's talk about some of the different terms and things that have happened. We've talked about water vapor. We get water vapor through the process of evaporation or through evapotranspiration, which transpiration is water vapor coming from trees or plants on the Earth's surface. Once that water vapor rises up through the air, we have the cloud formation process. And in that cloud formation process, we have condensation, that we go from being a gas back to being a liquid and causing cloud droplets. So we have water that's stored, there's the storage word, stored water in our atmosphere. At some particular point when there's enough water vapor in the air, then we have precipitation. Going back to the weather unit, we talked about precipitation can be a variety of different types. We can have snow, sleet, freezing rain, rain. When we have ice and snow, that's also a form of storage for water. So we have that precipitation that falls. Snow eventually melts, ice melts, rain is also liquid, and then that snow or rain can run off, running over the Earth's surface and flow into streams or rivers or even directly into the ground. And when it goes into the ground, it's called infiltration. So the key is there, the first two letters, in, for infiltration. Water seeping or going into the actual ground. Water can flow underground, which is groundwater. And I'll show a better diagram in class showing you that once the water is in the ground, there's an area that has air, zone of aeration, and there'll be a zone of water in the ground where the ground is saturated, zone of saturation. That water can flow into different places, eventually making it back into large bodies of water or back into plants, and we go back through the same cycle again. We've talked about sublimation before. That's when we have the ice or snow going directly back into water vapor. And just so you can have a little bit of an idea of how much water there is on the Earth and where it is, hopefully this comes out large enough so you can see it, and you can see it in the diagram in your notes. But if we're talking about the oceans, we're talking about that's taking up about 96.5% of all the water on the Earth. It's not any of the fresh water, but that's about almost the majority of the water that's on the Earth. Ice caps, glaciers, and permanent snow take up almost 70% of the fresh water that's on the Earth. The other, if that's almost 70, when we got 30 of that fresh water comes from groundwater. So the majority of the water that we have that's fresh water that's immediately consumable is not at the Earth's surface, or if it is, it's in a frozen state. So go through and kind of look at this chart. When we start looking at freshwater lakes and other places that we can find water, you can see that as you go down on the chart, the numbers get less and less. But you can see that the vast majority of our water, again, is either frozen over almost 70%, or the other part of the fresh water is underground.
Don't forget to listen to the earth. You just may hear it speak.